Anime NYC 2022 was the best con I've ever been to, and I don't say that lightly considering I've been to some heavy hitters in other years, like New York Comic Con and PAX East. From meeting one of my favorite VTubers to attending some of the most incredible panels I've ever seen and getting a boatload of free stuff, Anime NYC was a blast from start to finish. First, I want to talk about the panels. I usually find panels to be very hit or miss at cons, but all 4 of the panels I attended at Anime NYC were absolutely worth it. The first panel I went to was the Sword Art Online 10th Anniversary Celebration. This panel featured the English voices of Kirito and Asuna, Bryce Papenbrook, and Jeremy Lay. Although I watched SAO in Japanese, I still knew both of these voice actors through other media, so it was cool to hear their perspectives about voicing in this show. They gave a lot of insight on how they first encountered the series and what it was like forging a friendship in real life while voicing the 2 leads together. The most interesting part of the panel was when they described the challenges that came with voicing for the new SAO Progressive movies. They had to go back to voicing as characters who barely knew each other, which meant altering their tones a lot. They also compared how Asuna and Kirito's perspectives put the same scenes in different lenses. During the panel, we also saw a trailer for the second SAO Progressive movie. The next panel I went to was the Promare cheer screening, with Trigger guests. Some of the Studio Trigger staff had a brief interview talking about the creation of the movie. One interesting detail was that the English dub was so well received that it actually got an airing in Japan with Japanese subtitles. After the interview, we got to see the English dub of the movie, and since it was a cheer screening, people were allowed to clap and yell as much as they wanted. It was my first time seeing the film, and the atmosphere was incredibly lively. The crowd got extremely into it, and there were a lot of funny moments where people shouted out various memes during the fight scenes.
He needs some milk!
There was also a pivotal scene in the movie, if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about, where the audience cheered for like a minute straight. Overall, I was really blown away by the animation in the film, even if the movie does use a lot of the same conventions as other Trigger properties. The third panel I attended was the Yen Press panel. This was a pretty straightforward event where the reps from Yen Press announced a lot of new manga, light novels, and manhwa that would be releasing in English. As a surprise during the panel, they brought out Turtle Meat, author of the manhwa The Beginning After the End, to share some insight on his creation process and answer questions.
I've seen a lot of writers actually spend years crafting their world and just not being able to write and using that as an excuse of like, oh, my world's not complete yet. I think getting their first words out there, no matter how bad they may be, I think that is the biggest first step.
At the end of this panel, Yen Press gave everyone the choice of one of 5 manga to take home. I got Volume 1 of Touring After the Apocalypse. The final panel that I went to was the world premiere of a portion of the Kaguya-sama The First Kiss That Never Ends movie. I got to be among the first people in the world to see the first half hour or so of the movie, and it was incredible. I've read the manga, but it was so impactful seeing everything on the big screen, with so many inventive scene transitions. The voice cast did a stunning job too. Before the premiere of the movie, there was a special interview with Kaguya's Japanese voice actress, Aoi Koga, as well as some of the anime's producers. We got video messages from the other main voice cast as well. Aoi Koga is one of my favorite voice actresses, so I really enjoyed hearing her describe her experience with the part and how the character has changed over the first 3 seasons of the show. While the panels were the most impactful part of Anime NYC for me, there was still so much else to do. The show floor and artist alley were both massive and contained both your typical anime merch sellers and booths from all the major companies like Crunchyroll, Bandai Namco, Aniplex, Funimation, Viz Media, Bushiroad, Hololive, and more. First, I'll talk briefly about the artist alley. There were so many talented artists laid out in massive rows. I already have a lot of art at home, so I didn't buy much, but I did get the chance to say hello to Rideth Mochi, an artist who did the art for a recent music video from one of my favorite VTubers, Futakachi Mana. I picked up this gorgeous Calliope Mori print from Mochi's booth. When it comes to the rest of the convention hall, there was so much to see. Between the artist alley and the industry booths, there was an Itasha car show, cars with wraps depicting various anime characters and VTubers. There were also booths where you could try out various video games or card games. For example, Bushiroad was offering instructional sessions on Weiss Schwarz and Vanguard, and giving out special promo cards to people who participated. There were also a ton of cool displays, like a massive inflatable Luffy, large Gundams, and statues of other anime characters. A lot of booths also had scenes set up for taking photos with props and standees from anime, like Reincarnated as a Slime, Spy Family, Attack on Titan, Naruto, and more. Other booths had fun activities, like one where you could punch out holes in a piece of paper and then put it through a music box to hear an anime song. The booth I spent the most time at by far was the HoloLive booth. There was a screen that constantly played music videos and messages from the talents, but several times each day there were live streams from VTubers that were specifically just for Anime NYC. They could see and interact with the crowd using cameras. It was an especially great treat to see a stream with my #1 favorite VTuber, Calliope Mori.
I have to let you know who's boss right now, okay? I have to let you know who's in charge of this dominion. It's me. Oh, very good. Can I get a T-pose solidarity? Solidarity T-pose?
I was a little disappointed that HoloLive didn't have the opportunity for individual meet and greets with the talents like they did at other cons, but this was the next best thing. Speaking of meet and greets though, we now come to what I referenced in the title of this video. This wasn't advertised anywhere prior to the con, but as I was walking around on Friday, I noticed that one booth said there would be an Ironmouse meet and greet the next day. I showed up about 50 minutes early and there were already a ton of people, and a ton more came after, but I was able to see Ironmouse face to face on an iPad and have a quick conversation with her. I was able to thank her for everything she's done for the community, and tell her how much I look up to her and admire her work ethic. I even got a picture with her, which left me smiling for the rest of the day. My second favorite part of walking around the convention hall was picking up free stuff. I always love hunting for free goodies at cons, but I'm not exaggerating when I say that the amount of free stuff I got at Anime NYC is more than I've gotten at New York Comic Con and PAX East combined. I got trading cards, manga, posters, pins and buttons, an inflatable sword, bookmarks, tote bags, keychains, a t-shirt, coasters, stickers, lanyards, and more. I probably had 5 pounds of stuff by the end. If I made a circle around the whole show floor, the same booths would be giving out completely different stuff. Crunchyroll in particular had massive counters full of things to take. Of course, I can't talk about a con without also mentioning the cosplay. Since I was so busy with panels and exploring the convention hall, I didn't have as much time to look at cosplayers as I usually do, but there were a lot of really impressive outfits. Here are a few of the ones that stood out most to me. There were a few small downsides to Anime NYC, namely the fact that their server got overloaded trying to book panels, so they switched all panels to a lottery system this year. I got into most of the panels I wanted, but was sad that I missed out on seeing Attack on Titan author Hajime Isayama. In addition, for panels that required booking ahead of time, they told people they couldn't line up more than 30 minutes in advance, but people were clearly being allowed to anyway, since I usually got there about 33 minutes ahead of time and there were already massive lines. That said, I was still able to get decent seats for everything, so it wasn't too big of a deal. My one other disappointment was a lack of food trucks, as they used the area reserved for that in the past for people lining up, but the convention center food was reasonably priced for a con in New York. In all, I'd recommend Anime NYC to any anime fan. The panels were the best I'd ever been to, the convention hall had so many things to do outside of panels, and there were a ton of pleasant surprises along the way. I hope I can go back again next year. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. My channel has been on hiatus for a while due to personal responsibilities, but I hope to be back to regular posting in the new year. I'm Matrix from Matrix AM, Anime, and more, and I hope you have a great day.